Hey Joe, so you brought up that issue of the one and the many, and that on some level we are individuals, even though on another level we're also a community. Somehow they both exist, which, sure, but I think you referred to the one and the many, that relationship as a problem, and you know how we're always, you know, arguing with each other about the mystery problem distinction and what the difference between a problem and a mystery is. A problem being something that you ask a question and the answer is already predetermined. It's a function of the question. The question lays out the terms in which the answer can be replied, and every question lays out its own terms. And so the question is given, and then the answer is almost an echo, you know. Whereas a mystery is um, a void. You say something and it just goes out and you never get a response, and you're left with only your own voice, your own thoughts, your own creation. But then you know that your creation is still in some sense just your creation, and it's not any greater truth that extends outside yourself. But in a sense it is, because there is no outside yourself. It's just the vast emptiness. The one and the many I think of more as a mystery than a problem. And they do go together. You can't have one without many, right? Because then how do we understand the meaning of one? If there's just one, there's really none, right? If there's just one thing, there's no outside perspective to gain from it. There's no relationship between two things. If there's just a dot on a white screen, you can't tell if it's moving. If there's two dots on a white screen and they're both moving, you still can't tell. But if they're moving in relation to one another, all of a sudden, wow, all this motion and activity starts to appear on the screen. And if we have three dots and we put it into, they're all moving their own separate directions, and then we get even more dynamic activity. And if we add a fourth one and then make it three-dimensional, all of a sudden we get time as a function of the three dimensions of space, and it gets really intricate really fast because we're adding more context. So with just one, though, there's no context, and it's basically empty. It's nothing at all. But if we also have the many, which is just the natural corollary of one, it gives the one this new context, where all of a sudden the one becomes magnificently full, and the many become empty. And that this is like the Sunyata and Tathata dualism in Buddhism, even though they're just Tathata or form and Sunyata or emptiness are just two sides of one coin. So it's not a dualism, it's just two ways of talking about the same empty, full nature of reality. It's a wave, it's a on-off, or a 1-0, or a crest and a trough. And that yin-yang relationship, that's reality. That's the best we can do. That's the most perfect symbol we can ever have of what existence is, because it's balanced. We can never pin it down whether it's white or black, or good or evil, or spiritual or mechanical. We can't pin it down because we're not separate from it. And it's like we're trying to dissect ourselves as we live. So when I say that it's all we, I'm sort of saying that the one and the many are in this mysterious relationship with one another, where neither side can ever get the one up on the other, and we can never say which one it is really. So when I say it's all a relationship and that there's no separateness, what I'm really trying to do is give us some kind of moral plan of action. I'm not trying to make a metaphysical statement. I'm trying to point out that we can't think of ourselves in terms of being discrete units of mind, because our mind is composed of a public language, basically, which you said at the beginning of your video in different words, and Our consciousness, like Andy Clark says, is sort of contained in our environment as much as it's contained in here, and we can't divide the line between the skull and the world as sharply and as distinctly as we might like. And so when I say it's all a relationship, I'm talking about human society. We can no longer look at ourselves as self-interested individuals. That is something we are taught.